close and call to order our town council meeting, March 21st, 2024. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mary? Here. Jenna? Here. Mary? Here. Annette? Here. Bob?
Here. Next, I have citizen inputs. Are there any citizens who would wish to make comment to the town council? State your name and address.
My name is Rich Solga. And I live at 829 Jacobs Court.
Hi, Rich.
You know, the citizens input is at the beginning here. Okay, and I have questions about what's on the agenda. And maybe this is for Debbie. It says here that uncollected debt. What is that?
It's the water bills that were uncollectible, Rich, that we couldn't get anybody to pay. They moved on. We can't get in touch with them at all. There's a whole criteria. It was dated back to 2003. Let me get back to it. I was kind of. We initial filed the bill, process mailed and emailed. If not paid by due date, we send out again each month thereafter. We have each email on file. We also do another email besides the mail. Then we also do a lien on the property. Sometimes they sell the house before we get the lien put on it, because at closing, they would have to pay off their water bill before they close on the property. So when I came into office, we were around $4,000. We got it down to, I think this last month, it's $1,633.11. But we tried for 2 years to collect the debt.
That's very good from what you had to what you. All my experience was, if you did not pay your water bill and you moved out, you skipped, you were a renter, the next buyer pays the bill. And we never would turn the water on. We would shut the water off. And if the next buyer that buys the house, if he wants water, he has to pay the bill regardless of who lived in there previously and how much the bill was. You know, why don't we do something like that? And then you can negotiate with the real estate and say, you pay the bill. This way, I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it could be a lot of money.
Well, I will let you know, we have a resolution, but we also have an ordinance that was written in 2003. And that is on the schedule to be looked at and rewritten, because this big place, it's been 20 years. So I will be getting with my attorney to do that. Plus Nancy, and Don and Debbie have to sit through and go through it all. So there will be some changes to the uncollectible debt.
Thank you. I would like to address the council and you could tell me yes or no. Can I make a comment about the chickens?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. What is the process here of getting an ordinance and passing an ordinance for this? What are you gonna have another study session? Are you gonna, yes, no, I don't know.
So
Dave, can you help me out?
Yeah,
What our
But-
plans are tonight is if there is, we'll call for a motion to direct our town staff and our town attorney to develop a draft ordinance that we will look at for the next meeting. If that passes by a majority vote, again, our town manager, our town attorney will develop this ordinance. We'll take a look at it at the April town council meeting. At which point in time, again, as always, we'll take citizen input on it. We'll see if it meets the standards that would be agreed upon by a simple majority, and we would move to either change it or vote on it that night.
You know, I have a lot of questions and I don't want to take up any time, that I'm allotted, but, you know, you talk about a coop. You talk about chickens. You talk about how many chickens. You talk about enforcement, okay? Who's gonna monitor this stuff? You know, I mean, I got about 10 questions here that I don't even know which way you're gonna go.
Right, and I think, and I don't mean to interrupt you, I think what will happen is as our team drafts this ordinance, when we look at it in April, I'll take your example of how many chickens. If the draft ordinance comes across our table at 6, and there are members who want 8 or 10, or 2 or 4, we'll have that discussion at that time. So we don't have any of those parameters yet. In the study session, we mentioned, we had Valpo, Bloomington, Lombard. We have a few other municipalities that we have their examples that we're looking at. So we're going to use those to build our own. And then once we have something to look at, we'll have that conversation. And that'll be.
And then another thing I'm concerned about, who's gonna monitor this? I mean, are we
Yeah.
gonna have the chicken police or the chicken enforcement officer come out counting heads here? How many chickens we got, and somebody's, you know, does anybody know what is considered a coop? I mean, is it 10 chickens? Is it 20? Or is this all gonna be determined by you?
This will all be determined based on, again, using examples from other municipalities. There's no need to really reinvent the wheel. We'll do some conglomeration of all of those, and then we'll take a look at it in April. Again, if that direction passes tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Any other citizen input? Name and address, sir?
My name's Al Luke, I'm 2716 Camelot Drive, Ward 3. I own Suburban Landscaping, and I was standing right here 6 years ago, actually, talking to some other folks about a bid we put in with for the mowing of the town of Dyer against a company from Valparaiso. We were the second lowest bidder. Our bid contained a very large bed care package, because back then it was a complicated bid with bed care and mulching and all these other things. I explained to Public Works back then that we had drawn out this exact month-by-month plan of all the things we were going to do for it, because the wording was rather vague. I came here, I explained that even though our bid was about $1,000 more than the Valparaiso company, we were offering about $10,000 in value that they were not. The board at that time told me low bid is low bid. That's what I was told. That was the end of it. I've bid the project ever since. In 2022, we were the low bidder. We were awarded the bid. Last year, we were not the low bidder. This year, we're the low bidder. Second lowest bidder is $28,000 higher than us. And yet, Parks Department is going with the second lowest bidder. I'd like to know why my taxes and your taxes are being spent on this.
I would, as far as I know, that would be something to address with the park board.
I tried, but I can't get a straight answer out of the people that I asked.
I'm not sure. I don't have the calendar in front of me as to when their next meeting.
April 4th is what I was told, but that's the regular meeting. I don't know if they have a study session. I asked and was not given a straight answer.
At all of our public meetings, we have public comment, so you'd be able to make your comment then.
Well, if they award the bid prior to the public comment section, that's gonna be kind of hard to reverse, I'd imagine. I'd like to come to a study session like this, so where I can ask them to not make this slippery slope precedent. Because you're not gonna there's very few people that can mow 250 acres in a week. And very few companies. Trust me, I know them all. I've been doing this for 40 years. And I've been bidding Dyer for 20 something, I mean, since the 90s. And I've done the work here before. The guy who cut it last year, who is the person they're going to retain at the higher price, all right, is a guy I know. All right. I can't get a straight answer. I came here tonight on my time to ask you folks for a straight answer. I spoke with Parks and there were no answers forthcoming.
I would say without, anything different from our attorneys, that is a contract with the park department and, you have to take that up with them.
Well, that contract, that RFP actually didn't come from the park department. It came from Public Works. Along with the Public Works bid. And they both clearly state right on the cover that the bid will be awarded to the lowest bidder. And I don't need to be an attorney to tell you that that's how contractors bid these things. Right? Otherwise, what's the purpose of a bid? Just hire the person you want to hire.
I would direct you to either the Parks Department or to our attorneys.
I'll go to the April 4th meeting, but so they're autonomous. They make all the decisions for themselves. You guys have nothing to do with this, correct?
The vast majority of them, yes.
This particular issue, is it their decision or the town's or this board's
It
decision?
was awarded by the Park Department and the Utility Board for Public Works. So those would be.
Even though it's
decided by
costing an extra $15,600 if you split the bid, which has never been done ever, right? If you don't split the bid, it's gonna cost $28,000.
I do know that the bid was split last year.
It was not
So-
split last year. Who, R&R did both.
Yes.
So it wasn't split.
But it was put out for quotes.
Allow me to say it differently.
Yes.
The one contractor has always done both parts, correct? Okay. And this year, two different contractors are being asked to do the work. But we were the low bidder on both parts.
Okay, then again, I'd have you.
I'll take it to them, but I just want to make sure that when I go there, they don't tell me to come back to you.
Okay,
They won't tell me that, right?
if they do, we would just end up directing you to our attorneys because we have nothing to say on that.
So as a taxpayer in Dyer, I got no answers coming.
As a taxpayer of Dyer, I'd again direct you to one of those two boards.
Would he be,
Sir, if I'm not mistaken, you did sign the contract with the Public Works for the portion of that.
I
So
did.
you do realize it's a separate one because you signed a single contract.
Yes, I was the low bidder. They asked me, I beg your pardon.
No problem.
Go.
The Parks Board awarded the second portion of that. So any discrepancy you have with that second part would need to be taken up with the Park Board. The Parks
I
Director-
understand that.
The Parks Director attempted to give you the study session date. However, at this time, there is no study session scheduled because they're waiting for some engineer reports. So he did give you the date of the next regular meeting, which was April 4th, I believe.
He did.
So
yes.
as of this time, there is no study session to tell you until he gets more information.
Well,
At which
that-
time you will be told the study session is X date.
If I had known that there was none scheduled, I wouldn't be here. I just wait for the April 4th date. I'm not here to take up your folks'
Absolutely.
time here. I'm just trying to find out an answer. I don't need to mow the grass. I'd like to know why my town is paying more for cutting grass than they need to.
Absolutely.
And that's an answer I still haven't gotten. So I'll go April 4th and see what I can do from there.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Any further citizen input? Hearing none, I'll be seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the minutes of the February 15, 2024 Town Council meeting and claims totaling $1,301,312.44.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, including the minutes of the February 15, 2024 Town Council meeting. Claims totaling $1,301,312.44.
A second.
I have a motion, a second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye. Jenna? Aye. Mary?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up, we have announcements. We have one announcement. Town offices will be closed on March 29, 2024 in observance of Good Friday. Next, we have reports, starting off with Town Council. Councilwoman Tim.
Great, story too. Okay. First and foremost, when you came in, I just want to say a thank you to Dyer and Bloom Dibs. I wasn't there to help them put this up, but it's very whimsical. It's very pretty when you come in. They redecorated out front. And I also want to draw attention to, I know everybody's schedule is busy, but March 8th, we had rain. I mean, I think some people were ready to build an ark. I mean, it was raining and raining and raining, and our two-stage ditch, our award-winning two-stage ditch came through with flying colors. If you didn't drive down that way, it actually crested over go to my husband, I don't know if he's got him on his phone, but we live by the two-stage ditch and we're glad. But it crested over and started going in by those little trees. I mean, it was really going, it was wonderful. Also, Jenna, I got to go visit Lake County Solid Waste.
Oh.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And we have some, are they open for everybody or just for schools?
Nope, everybody.
That's wonderful, because there's kids out in the audience, amazing artwork there, and talk about whimsy, that place is so fun.
Yeah.
So fun, they had so many toilet paper tubes and paper towel tubes, I said, we need those. It's really wonderful. Also, not to get too far ahead, I'm gonna welcome in advance, someone to our Historical Preservation Commission, I'm the liaison on there, so Barb, I'm really excited coming on. And I believe that it's just really exciting because we want to preserve the past and enhance the future for economic development. So all of us working together, it's amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ward 3, Councilwoman Griswold.
I don't really have much to report tonight, but I did attend the resident meeting last night for the Harrison Street project and appreciated all the residents coming out and the great presentation by the road projects, Brian Lane and from the town, the engineering company. The road season's coming up for road construction, so I appreciate everybody's patience out there on the roads.
Thank you. Councilwoman Tanis.
I have several things to report. First of all, Ward 4 has a number of happy walkers, and they're happy walkers because the sun is finally coming out. And they really appreciate the fact that because of the two-stage ditch that our subdivisions didn't flood a couple weeks ago. Second of all, some of us attended a workshop by State Treasurer Dan Elliott the other day on banking and securities. It was quite informative, and I really appreciate the opportunity to attend that. Today was a NERC meeting, so we discussed the plans for Route 30 because people are going to say, what is the town of Dyer doing? Pinching off all these intersections and things. It isn't us. It's Indiana Department of Transportation, or INDOT. So if you see INDOT, that's a whole different group that is closing off parts of Route 30, but it's to replace the bridge on Route 30. And the last thing, we had an update this evening on the Monon corridor. And if you want to do a little bit of homework, look up the Monon Railroad, because it used to come right through Dyer, but now they're rebranding what used to be the Westlake corridor, and it's now the Monon corridor. So thank you for coming to our meeting. I just love it when there's more and more people out in the audience. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 5, Councilwoman Ludwig.
Not too much, just some questions for Denise, when he comes up, Neil, when you come up here. And now that, the weather is changing, there's been a lot of concerns with a lot of the areas where, people are cutting through. So, I know we've had a couple, mailboxes completely torn off because they were racing through the areas. So maybe, we could keep an eye on that. A lot of them are a lot of young guys. That's about it. Road construction, it's gonna be rough, but everybody have patience. That's all I have, really.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next report, Clerk Treasurer.
Yes, I was at ILMCT since Sunday until the beginning of this meeting for our executive session. Always learning something, like the clerks aren't busy enough with all of our reports that we gotta do the first 3 months of the beginning of the year. And they just added 4 more to us for next year, so always a report to do. I also have a donation that I'd like the council to accept. It was a donation to our fire department for a pizza oven, and the worth value is $400. Can I have a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion to approve the donation of a pizza oven for the fire department.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary?
Hi.
Jenna? Aye. Mary?
Aye.
Annette?
Hi.
Aye.
And just any department, whatever you get in your donation, whether it is 20 Easter baskets, we still gotta accept the donation. If it's something for capital assets, last year, you remember somebody donated a fireproof safe to the police department. That just, it got receipted in, plus it went on for capital assets, because we gotta count all that into our capital assets for our AFR report. For gaskets, we do not, because it's not a capital asset. Just for a little memo in there.
Thank you. Next report, town manager.
Thank you. Don't want to alarm everybody, but it is 279 days till Christmas. We had a lot of attention with our Christmas lights down Calumet Avenue this year, and we noticed that we needed some improvement. So first thing on my list to report is that Public Works is preparing for that next season. We're adding to some of the intersections at what's the light to some of the children in town. They'll see more intersections with that. So just wanted to report that we have responded to the citizen input that they'd like to see a little more festivity, and we responded. You'll see some other lights around Town Hall that will be installed so that building services can adjust it and regulate the lights all year and not just at Christmas. So we're save a little bit of manpower instead of putting lights up, taking them down every year. There's gonna be lights that'll be put up and be able to stay there, and we'll be able to control lights and colors too. So we'll change it. I know not the highest priority things, but it is 279 days away. Met with Grace Lutheran about their request for voluntary annexation that you guys have been dealing with the last couple months. At this time, it's on hold. They met with Brian Lane and myself and Frank, and they realized there's some fees involved with becoming incorporated in the town, such as stormwater. A lot of those numbers don't fit into budgets that are already fixed. So at this time, it is on hold. Not that it's off the table for them, but at this time, they're going to stay their status of being our close neighbor and friends and not incorporated. Fire truck update. I think in January or late December, you had asked me to meet with the fire chief so that we can put together what the steps would look like for a vehicle replacement for the ladder truck. As you know, it's a large purchase, one that we did last 24 years ago, maybe 23 years ago, $1 million+ dollars. So we put together some numbers and we put together a summary of what that process would look like if the council decides to act on that. In April, we'll have that final review for you. Our next step is to meet with the clerk treasurer's office to see, we have spelled out 4 options for payment, and we would just want to work with the clerk's office to see which one is favorable for the town of Dyer. You are looking at about $1.5 million, $1.6 million at this time, and about a 33-month delivery. Again, it is something we did in 2000, spent around $1 million for the 105-foot tower truck that they have right now, and several vehicles. So there's several ways to purchase it, and we'll hopefully spell out your options for you. The last thing is that we talked about the electric vehicles, I'm sorry. Clerk's office had brought up a couple possible locations here at the town hall. I've reached out to Drive Clean Indiana to see if they had anything for us to install some stations that could generate a little bit of revenue. They do have programs that are 80% reimbursable, and Drive Clean Indiana, which we are a member of, is going to forward us some information and some locations where they think might work best. I don't have the revenue numbers. I don't have the cost numbers at this point. Drive Clean is getting them to us. So it's something that's on our radar. And if anybody asks you, it's something that we are looking at.
Also look at that other company. I got the information upstairs just to see who gives us the biggest bang for our buck.
That's all I have.
There's no cost to us.
Thank you. Next up, town attorney.
Yeah, just 3 things. First of all, we have been very good customers of Chicago Title over the last couple years, and their office manager is going to be sitting down to lunch with me in a couple days just to want to know how they can serve us better. So if anyone has any input or suggestions, please let me know. The other thing is as you may certainly know, the legislative session has ended. Given our discussions for April, I'll shoot to have an update for you on May in further detail. New state laws that will go into effect. And then real briefly, there's a case pending before the US Supreme Court now, Murphy versus Missouri, which could impact how decisions out of the BZA are reviewed at the state court, which may be less deferential in the future. I will let you know what happens with that as well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next up, department heads, Public Works.
Street sweeping through central sweeping will begin, or has actually began on Monday and will continue through next week. Once that's complete, public works crews will begin, weed control procedures along curbs and right of ways, getting that ready for the season. Curb and crosswalk painting will resume as well at that time, and subdivisions in the southwest part of the town. So again, we're gonna get that process going again. Spring cleanup is April 8th through April 20th. Additional dumpsters for residential use will be available at the DPW complex during normal business hours and on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. So in case somebody can't make it during the normal week, they can bring their stuff on Saturday. Leaf removal will be provided in subdivisions during this time frame as well. Sidewalk and curb repairs for the first half of 2024 have been scheduled, and that will begin next April 1st. Weather permitting. The water service line inventory that is required by item is continuing to be performed, and the water audit that's been for the last 2 years is nearly complete. That final audit report should be available in April or May after it has been validated. I also have some items on the agenda I can talk about later. That's it.
Thank you. Parks Department?
Projects, the shade structure is completed now. The smaller poles were installed and the exposed footings were covered with concrete. The pavilion, the only remaining item we have is ADA ramps. They will be installed by JJ Newell in the spring. I've been coordinating with Jeff and his staff to accommodate that. Sandy Ridge plans are, Robinson Engineering is approaching 90% complete with the plans. The current engineer estimate for the project is $325,000. It's scheduled to go out to bid next month. Pickleball, the final design work is being completed, and that wasn't scheduled to go out to bid until June. And then the Heritage Estates, the equipment has been ordered and delivery is scheduled for July. There's no timetable yet outside of that for that project. I just want to touch briefly on our volunteer committees. I know Councilmember Tim talked about Iron Bloom a little bit, but they got several projects that are going to come to fruition here in the next couple of months. They have at their last meeting, they elected not to join American Bloom for 2024. And they were recently awarded a grant by Master Gardeners for the amount of $350. I believe this is the second or third year in a row that they've gone after this grant. And then their next meeting is scheduled for April 2nd at 2:30 at the fire station. And then touch on Summerfest briefly. They've all the bands scheduled, all the contracts will be in front of you for approval. The beer garden contract as well is in front of you for your approval. They're continuing to solicit sponsorships. They're meeting twice a month. And they're having regular status meetings with town employees so we can better get prepared for the event. Their next meeting is next week. They're determining the date. They originally were going to have it on Monday, but unfortunately they had a conflict, so we're going to have to reschedule that meeting. I will send that date to everyone here so everyone's aware and can attend if they would like. Our activities, we're rolling into our Easter activities this week. This Saturday we have our Easter egg hunt. That's at Central Park. The Easter Bunny will be there at 1 p.m. The hunt will start promptly at 2, which is signaled by the police department. We'll have a siren go off. And then registration is closed at this time though. People cannot enter the raffle, but people can still attend and participate in the egg hunt. They just won't be, their names just won't be entered for the prizes, for the baskets. Sunday, we have our bunny home visits. This was started during COVID-19, where the Easter Bunny would drive to participants' houses. And that will happen between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Sunday, just depending on time. Next Thursday, we have our flashlight Easter egg hunt. That's for ages 9 to 12. That's from 7:15 to 8:15. That will be at Plum Creek Center. And then in April 13th, we have our mother-son date night. And that's from 6 to 8 p.m. and that will be at the St. John Township Center. That's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Thank you. Next up, operations.
We had the resident meeting, as was mentioned earlier. And this morning, it was really nice. Any of the concerns that we had from last night, we met them out on the road this morning, kind of went over with the residents and everyone seems to be happy. it's gonna be a nice project. It's gonna kind of finish up that little area minus one more street, and that's areas needed it for a long time. So I know it seemed like the people were real happy that that was happening. Coming before us soon, in the April meeting, the Plan Commission, we just got a submittal. We're gonna be having a public hearing for plating, of the Baptist school there on 213. So right now, they're just coming in for plating. They're looking to do some building not till after the 25 school year when school gets out that year. So for a year. Another good thing, just the other day, got an email. The Dunkin', the Jets Pizza and the Wingstop finally got their last paperwork in. So they will be coming to the Storm Board meeting in April, the first Wednesday, and then they should be coming for final approval to the April meeting also at the Plan Commission. The property north of the Cancer Resource Center that they're looking at, that he's putting on hold for one more month before he comes. He had to do a wetland delineation report, and the Army Corps has a few little areas they want to discuss with them, so he wants to get that wrapped up and solid before he comes in. Meadowbrook, 35 lot subdivision is really close to coming in. They could be here in April. We'll see what happens in the next week. They got some paperwork stuff, and they got to get some final approvals. The water's all done, I'm told, out there and tested. The sanitary just needs some pressure testing. So they're really close. Something that I'll be bringing to you soon, hopefully, is working with an engineer, and we're looking at the Hart Street Bridge, the Calumet Avenue Bridge, and the pedestrian bridge right here to get lighting on it, to decorate it, to get some flowers in the summer with some nice planters and stuff. So we'll be bringing that. And the good thing too is I've contacted the commissioners in Lake County, and they sent an email back saying, you know, it's a county bridge and they're willing to work with us as long as the engineering shows that it's safe for the bridge for us to, we'd be responsible for it, but that we could improve it. So if you've ever gone through there at night, it's a little dark where the bridge is. So I think the lighting and possibly moving flags off of 30, we're looking at a bunch of things. So we'll get you those ideas. And I met this week too, we got the backyard stormwater projects going. We got like 7 that we're looking, hopefully maybe complete this year. So we'll see how those go. And then next week we got at the PD, we're hosting a drone class. And a couple of us are gonna get certified. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Next up, fire.
All right. That's. We had 114 EMS calls last month. In February, we had no vehicle fires. Let's see, Joe's thinking. 6 motor vehicle accidents, 8 citizens assists, 13 false alarms, 5 CO alarms, 3 natural gas leaks, 11 mutual aid calls, and 8 township calls. We're still putting in the smoke and CO detectors, done a whole lot of car seats, checking them and installing them, especially for the grandmas and grandpas that have been coming. Let's see. We've been pre-planning some of the bigger dire buildings. We did all the school inspections with the state fire marshal. Joe Bonk was promoted to lieutenant at Station 18. We did host a CPR class for the public works, clerk's office, building department, and the Dyer Town Hall. Then I completed the NIMS class with firefighter Zakovic. The 300, and let's see. The EMS committee started up again 218 with one of our firefighter manuals and is in there with 17 other students. Let's see, Officer Zenzian, Safety Officer, and Firefighter Hay received National Fire Academy Incident Safety Officer certificates. Let's see, Operations Chief Hemrick, Captain Satori, Lieutenant Stutler, Firefighter Vershak, Firefighter Flynn, and Firefighter Morrison all passed their certification courses for Fire Instructor 3. Now our agency went from 1 to 7 certified Instructor 3s. Our applications are due by tomorrow for our career firefighting hiring process. And Chief Martin and Firefighter Morrison are beginning their public fire life safety educator 1 and 2 classes. That's it.
Thank you very much. Police?
For the month of February, we had 572 incidents, 39 arrests, 20 accidents, 361 citations, 554 warnings. As Brian stated, we're hosting a drone class next week where Public Works, fire, fire police, and I believe one other group is gonna be involved from the town to expand our drone program so everybody in town has operational skills to, because it'll be FAA certified. Just a quick thing on the traffic that is coming up. I receive a lot of emails on Dyer Police and comments, and as it was stated earlier, US 30 is not Dyer's road. It's the state highway runs it, and we have no say in how the patterns are to go. We have no say in how far the traffic's gonna go, but this summer, we have a lot of construction on Route 30, starting with next week. We have the railroad fixing those huge potholes that everybody's complaining about, but with that complaining comes that we're gonna sacrifice one lane each way on those tracks for a week straight. I believe at this time, it's 1 week straight for that. And then right after that, we're gonna start from Hart Street to St. John Road, where they're gonna take out the Route 30 bridge. The bridge in front of by Smith's, I believe is where that bridge is, closer to St. John Road. We will be one lane, plus they're gonna be fixing sidewalks, handicap, all the way through our community for the entire summer. So I say to everybody that is listening and everybody that is in this room, when you send us emails saying, why don't you do this? We have no control over it. All we can do is tell you, and the alternative routes have already started where people are doing cut throughs. We're gonna have a lot of traffic through town. Fortunately, unfortunately, a lot of people that live in Indiana work in Illinois during rush hour. Plus, we have a school on Route 30. We have businesses on Route 30. We are the hub of grocery shopping for Illinois also, because there's no grocery store in the area from here to at least Halsted and Torrance Avenue and Lansing. So we have a lot of traffic. Please bear with us. It's not the community's fault. It's not the town's fault. It's not the town manager's fault. It's not the council's fault. The highway is just, it's our turn to get to construction again. And construction season growing up in this area is part of it. We'll do the best we can to direct traffic. It's gonna be frustrating. I'm telling you right now. If you've lived here forever, you lived in this area, you remember in the 90s when it was 2 lanes going down there, it's just gonna be that again, except for you're used to having 4 lanes with 3 times the amount of traffic. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you live in the Midwest. We have, what is it, spring, construction season, winter, or fall and winter. So we are gonna be hit heavily this summer on US 30, Joliet, whatever road you wanna call it. We also have Calumet Avenue, which our light is going in. That is for a safety thing for the park and to slow down the traffic. Because as if you know, if you travel on Calumet Avenue, even though we knocked it down to 35, we're still getting people doing 65 because of patch of road. And what people do not realize is there's a school right at 213. So there will be a light there to help the park and relieve traffic. That construction is going on right now. And it'll be through the next couple months. Again, be prepared to see a lot of different traffic, especially of those of you who live off of US 30 South. Because when people are coming back from Illinois, obviously you're gonna cut through Stagen Road, 81st, 77th. You're gonna get that all the way through. Right now, we're going behind the schools during school closing, when everybody's letting out of schools. The traffic patterns are gonna be horrendous. We're doing the best we can, but it is under state control. Calumet Avenue's ours, but that's to improve our community. Public Works is constantly working on all of our side roads. I get these calls every day. You can make all the comments you want, and I'm just trying to make sure you understand the town has no control over it. It's going to help us though, in the end, when it's all fixed. We're gonna have better bridges, better sidewalks, handicap accessible, new streetlights and infrastructure that the state is putting into Dyer this year. Again, good or bad, bear with us. It's gonna be a long summer for traffic.
Chief Alcup, will you be having cars like in these subdivisions where you know the traffic?
Well, you're not gonna be able to stop the patterns because it's a
But I
free
mean,
world.
like you do at Christmas, you just have cars out there.
Oh,
and you
yeah,
see
we'll
them,
have people
and
at the
they-
intersections when it gets bad, but at the
Right.
same time, you have to let traffic flow. When
Right.
you interfere with traffic, it causes more problems. And so you're gonna have congestion in those areas I'll tell you right now, from anywhere from 5:30 in the morning to 8:30, if you ever been on 30, as it builds up and south coming up Hart Street from all the other towns coming over, they cut through the back way. People come from St. John, Crown Point to get to Illinois. They're cutting through the back roads of Calumet Avenue. To get from Calumet Avenue to 81st Street sometimes takes 10 to 15 minutes in the morning with traffic as it is. And that's without construction. So we're gonna have backups. And people, they said, we're gonna get the people that don't know our area, they're gonna be cutting through. Bear with us, we'll do the best we can, but it is gonna, just, if you live here and you don't have to travel on those roads during rush hour like you do now, it's gonna be worse. So bear with it, find your way through, but the regular cut-throughs are gonna be there. You will see the traffic, town manager Hein, all of, any announcements for traffic will go through the website of the town, and we will share it on all of our websites, so it'll be the same. So any questions you have, just refer to that. I know we're gonna get inundated with calls, but go to Facebook like everybody else does, and you'll see every new pattern that they change. And Brian, I believe it starts Monday.
Yeah, for the railroad.
Yeah, and then right after that, I think within weeks, they're gonna start setting up the cones for Route 30.
Real quick, yes.
Because I think it's April to September for 30. And that'll be intermittent patterns, but in the beginning, they're gonna cut it all the way down to one lane.
What they're talking, yeah.
So be prepared. And for you people here, you got the birds, you got to sit here in the front, people that aren't listening. So when your neighbors start complaining, please pass that on. That's all I have. We have one officer that'll be leaving field training in April. So we should be all good to go on the roads by summertime.
Question, the bus drivers, school bus drivers, do they have a camera in the front to where, I know it's been brought up before about people going around them?
They have the arm. They have cameras from the arm. They have to activate the camera when they see the person coming, and they get they get a picture of it. And then it's sent to we call the bus runner, they review them and they send out citations. Also, the police officers are paid back on a grant to follow the buses. Because if you pass a bus, it's a very large fine.
Yeah, that's
And a
lot now.
conviction is against your license if you pass the arm. So there's cameras on all the buses out of Lake Central.
Great, thanks.
I mean, Lake Central School District, that means our smaller schools too, not just the high school.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, Neil.
Good evening. And just to correct Phil, it's winter and construction season.
Thank you.
You should know. The 2023-1 Lake and Ivy projects, which are the CCMG, those were successfully closed out. We received the confirmation letter from NDOT. As was mentioned earlier, the 2023-2 CCMG project, which is Harrison from 213 to Edmond, Dyer Construction is scheduled to begin work in mid-April. And thank you very much for Brian to making us almost unneeded yesterday with his introduction and discussion with the residents. But that happened last night, and thank you for everyone for coming, and Mike from our office from handling that. It sounds like it went very well, and the meetings you guys had yet today addressed the specific resident comments, and we'll continue that through construction with any residents that have specific questions on their property. The Gettler and Steck project, that design's completed, that's out for bid, and we are being scheduled to award that at your April meeting. The Calumet Avenue Central Park project, that as was mentioned earlier, that is under construction, and they are, as today, on schedule. The CCMG 2024-1, which is the resurfacing projects, we expect that award in April, as they traditionally have. You submit it by the end of January, and then the first week in April that they give you that award, and you have 4 months to get that under construction. So really the only question that you guys need to decide and work with staff on is, do you want to construct those streets in 2024 or look at starting those this time next year? You'll have 18 months to get that work completed. So on a resurfacing project, that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. So it's more of a policy decision than anything else, but we'll coordinate with Dave and Frank and the council on that, how you want to proceed. And then the CCMG 2024-2 project, which is going to be 212 Place, which is going to be reconstruction, including utilities. That application traditionally, late July is when they, close those applications, and then they're awarded usually the first week in November. So then again, we have 4 months to get that under construction, but we've been coordinating with, town staff and Public Works on that to get that application prepared for, later this summer. Any questions, Annette?
Yeah, I just had a question. I've had a lot of concerns, and they have asked me to see what I can do. On Route 30 and Great Lakes Drive, the speedway there
Yes.
and the post office. Is there any possible way of putting, turning? Extending that out? I know there's utility lights there, but.
You're
Trying
talking
to
north
go-
and, yeah, north and south having one lane.
Yeah.
Let's say you're going southbound, there's somebody coming northbound.
And they can't get it because the
Yeah.
light is gonna turn and they're trying to squeeze and they scrape the cars.
Yeah, it is an incredibly challenging intersection. When we did Great Lakes, near Rob's and added that boulevard there, gosh, that's probably been 6, 7 years ago now. That was one of the things we did work with staff to see what could be done there. And given the utilities that are there and the strain poles for those intersection, the lights, there's no room additional to do that. So, we did
So
look
it's
at
not
that.
really doable.
It's not feasible financially. I mean, you could look at, coordinating with NDOT to bring everything back, but then you're looking at, right-of-way acquisition from Speedway, from the development there on all 4 corners, actually, and then relocating all of those, and you're probably looking at $1.5 million just to start that conversation. But yeah, that's
I know there
incredibly
was talk.
challenging.
There was
there.
talk about it before, and that's why they asked me, they talked about this is something that they're gonna do, and I says, I don't know, and I brought it up to Dave, and then he says, well, I think there's poles, and I looked, and yes, there's 2 poles.
Yeah, and that's very similar to what you have at 77th Avenue at 41 in Cherville by Beauty Guard, where you have like 1.5
Mhm.
lanes going eastbound. Here you kind of have like 1.25 lanes
Yeah.
where,
If lucky.
yeah, if you were so inclined, yeah, you could get through there, but I don't know what your insurance rates would be after that. But yeah, we did look at that, and it's one of the more challenging intersections in town, given its adjacency to US 30 and then all the commercial there that you only have one lane in each direction. It's an anomaly, to be sure.
Yeah, and if they put that road in, like they keep talking about, from the Jewel or from the. Would that matter if they put that road in? Would it be something that could be done then? You know what I'm saying? If they put the road in?
Facility going all the way.
Right,
That's a
right.
little further north, but it would probably cut down on the number of traffic movements
Sure.
at that intersection. So it would at least mitigate the challenges you have there.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, those of us have been lucky to be around town long enough. Remember when that Great Lakes was just a entrance into the side of the gas station? The curb cut on 30 never got any larger as that development happened with the neighborhood back there, and then commercial encroached up on it. So it is kind of landlocked with some utility poles and some serious, if you look at the bank incline, I mean, it drops pretty steep.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. And like Brian was talking about Meadowbrook, and you look at, there's a lot more forward thinking now today than there was then, that those intersections are wider, you have decel axle lanes, and you can get people in and out, but
I do agree with Councilwoman Ludwig. If there's 2 small cars, it is a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
If there's
Yeah.
1 large car, it is only a 1 lane, so.
But I mean, it's good and bad because I know there's a lot of traffic where they're trying to save the time and they cut through and. And that light is a long light. If you don't catch it, it's you'll sit there for a little
A lot of
bit.
that traffic is going to our stores, so.
Yeah.
That, project that Brian is working on over there.
yeah,
It may be some of the traffic.
Yeah.
that's a tough intersection.
Maybe extending the light, the timing on it.
And that's something you could consider coordinating with NDOT, either not only reprogramming it, which is free, or adding additional loop detectors further north and south of the intersection that would facilitate the existing programming, because they're all triggered on when's the last loop detected, and it's either 3, 5, or 8 seconds before it starts the new cycle, but,
It's been presented to them for a yellow turn.
Flashing.
Oh.
Yeah,
Going
that would-
off of Route 30
Yeah.
in both directions several times, and I believe, if I'm correct, Dave, it was brought up during these projects that are coming in that they may put there in Meredith, put the 2 yellow turn, yellow, flashing lights.
That would help people off of 30 onto the side streets.
But not yellow.
The one thing mentioned about changing the cycles, from the experience working with, Chief Alcott and the police department here. If you add cycles to the side street, you're taking it from Route 30, and engineers for NDOT pretty much frown against taking time off of 30 because that's where you're moving the traffic. So don't quote me on this number of seconds, but for the whole entire intersection, it's 180 seconds. So if you take any 5, 10 seconds to add it to a side street, you're taking 10 seconds off of the 30 movement, which really ends up making it worse in the long run. We ran across that with trying to retime Calumet Avenue, so.
And that 180-second includes turn signals also, green turn. So lots of.
Yeah, that's a great point, because they're gonna look at factors of traffic flow. So if you've got 12,000 vehicles a day on 30 and 572 on Great Lakes.
I know, it's a
Yeah,
difference.
but it doesn't make it any less inconvenient for all the
Right.
residents, to be sure.
Okay, thanks for the information.
You got it.
Thanks, Neil.
Anything else? Okay, thank you so much.
Next up, we have a few resolutions to get through under our next section. I'll be looking for a motion to accept resolution 2024-05 uncollectible debt.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-05, uncollectible debt.
A second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye. Sarah? Aye. Mary? Aye. Yes.
Aye.
Bob?
Aye. Next up, I'll be seeking a motion to accept resolution 2024-06, a transfer of funds.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-06 transfer of funds.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary?
Aye.
Jenna? Aye. Mary?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye. Next up, we have resolution 2024-07, donating surplus fire department property.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-07 donating surplus fire department property.
A second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, if I may, ordinarily surplus property would have to be auctioned off. But because this property was obtained pursuant to a federal AFG grant from FEMA, the terms require it to be donated to a nonprofit. Hearts in Motion, as the resolution says, uses these for use of developing nations. So that's where it will be used and to comply with the requirements of the grant.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mary?
Aye.
Jenna? Aye. Mary?
Aye.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye. Next, we have resolution 2024-08, authorizing execution of master services agreement with Life Safety Inspection Vault LLC.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-08 authorizing execution of master services agreement with Life Safety Inspection Vault LLC.
A second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is this like a software or service company that the life services is? Did I miss it?
Short of Chief Martin not being able to explain it due to his absence, I think Chief Bonin, if you're okay with, Frank may be able to enlighten us a little bit since it is kind of a tech related item.
Frank again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to, I know that this is the track inspection. And follow enforcement with it and using a platform for it instead of them trying to maintain it using manual processes. In the department, they're able to use this platform that I understand a number of different agencies already use locally. And this will increase the efficiency of that process. And the fees associated with this will be borne by the individual seeking the inspection, not actually the department itself. So is that an accurate representation of it?
And then just to hop on that, I reviewed the contract and it's fairly even-handed. We can cancel, or the town can cancel upon 90 days notice if we end up not liking the program without any additional fees or anything like that. And the reason this is being passed as a resolution, not an ordinance, even though it affects outside parties, is it doesn't create new obligations on any outside users. Instead, we're just delegating town responsibilities to an outside vendor.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary. Aye. Jenna. Aye. Mary.
Aye.
Annette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. No old business. Before us, we have some new business, a fair amount dealing with the Summerfest contracts. We have the beer garden contract with the VFW, an audio contract with Sounds Cool Live. And we have a number of band contracts that we need to approve. Those are in your packet in two separate stapled packages. I'll be seeking.
You can, whoever wants can, sorry to interrupt, whoever wants can make a motion to approve all contracts at once if you're so inclined.
For the VFW
And for the musical contracts.
So I'd be seeking a motion to accept the Summerfest contracts as presented to include the VFW Beer Garden contract, Sounds Cool Live audio contract, band contracts to include Third Wheel, Nate Ventrelli, Little Giants, Mud Sharks, the Shagadelics, the Breakfast Club, Rockology Chicago, Oscar and the Majestics, and my favorite, Who Dat Dare.
I'll make a motion to approve the Summerfest contracts to include the VFW beer garden contract, Sounds Cool Live audio contract, and the band contract. Third Wheel, Nate Venturelli, Little Giants, Mud Sharks, the Shagadelics, the Breakfast Club, Rockology Chicago, Oscar and the Majestics, and Who Dat Dare.
Second.
The contracts are pretty much in the same forms we've had last year. I will note that contrary to past practice, all musical performance contracts now have a uniform form supplied by the town, so we're not dealing with good ones and bad ones and half-baked ones.
I think that's the name of the band.
There we go.
Any further discussion?
Yes. For internal control purposes and compliance, Adam says he'd go online and pull up the current VFW license to make sure it's active. Also, they should require a special permit for the event, according to, go on.
Are you talking about in like the excise permit or which permit
Their
specifically?
license that they VFW at VFW.
Okay,
But they should have a special permit for the event at Central Park. That's a separate license.
okay,
Which Tim would have got when he went to that other venue, because we got the same presentation they did. Also, we need a copy of the bartending license, so we know that all bartenders are licensed for compliance.
okay.
Since they're on town property, then we need to ask the bands and the VFW for their liability insurance. which we do that now with our contractors and anybody who does services in the town of Dyer.
Okay.
Just for compliance. Internal controls.
My only other question, and I didn't really get this answered. I went to a Summerfest meeting. We seem to be paying more for the bands. Is it just like groceries? I mean, you know, everything doubled or is it? I'm just curious.
If I can answer that one, we actually asked that question afterwards and the total amount is more because there's more bands, but the actual per band price is actually lower for some of the bands from last year. So I don't know if it's probably not comparing apples to apples this year because you got the number of bands.
We actually are paying about the same. What they did here, they included the sound in this year, and last year we did not include sound in the with our band
Thank you.
budget.
And the one larger band, it was, if you remember, since the fireworks were canceled last year, the one larger band was kind of separated out of the fest one. That same band is back this year at a reduced price, so it kind of balanced all that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
I,
Bob.
Aye. Next up, we have an appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. I'll be seeking a motion to approve Mark Foster to the open position on the Historic Preservation Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve Mark Foster to the Historic Preservation Commission, and he's in the audience this evening.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Welcome on board. Next up, we have the health insurance renewal. We reviewed, we had that presentation during the study session. I'll be seeking a motion to approve the renewal with Cigna as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve Cigna as presented in the study session from Will Galeros for the upcoming year. It's a 3-year, isn't it?
12 months.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The contract's not in the packet.
Correct. We take action.
Yeah, you're authorizing the
Renewal.
authorized party to
What
execute
do you
it.
do with the contracts or the packet for signing them?
Not for Signet though.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
I,
Bob.
Aye. Next up, we have Lake Central Dollars for Scholars. They have reached out and requested a donation to the program. Last year, we donated $1,500. I will leave that up to the council if you wish to motion for a donation and for an amount.
Did we give a board?
1,500 last year.
I'll make a motion to give the same amount that we did last year.
Okay, I have a motion to donate $1,500 to Lake Central Dollars for Scholars. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is this a scholarship from the town of Dyer that one student will receive, or does like?
President, start, I'll take it. I was fortunate enough to participate last year. What it is it's spreads it out through any of the Dyer residents that are graduating seniors for Lake Central. They did request my presence last year to hand it to the Dyer students, and it was actually a very, very rewarding program for me to personally be part of as an alumni at Lake Central, but it did hand it out to Dyer residents. They separate each of the town's contributions to give back to the residents. So last year, I believe there was at least 4 or 5 Dyer seniors that took part.
And
And then Jenna, what happens is after you guys approve it, then Dave's office makes a claim that comes over to my office to cut the check.
For the longest time, I believe we were not part of the Dollars for Scholars, and we were one of the only communities in the Tri-Town area that didn't. So we did jump aboard, and just like I said, from being a part of it is very rewarding to know that the money that these local schools kind of pull together goes back to the kids from the communities.
Right, because I just seen a letter that says donations of $500 or more qualify for a named scholarship in which the guidelines are set up by you, so.
Yep.
Does the town have any further, like, setting up the guidelines or?
You know,
Have we in the past or?
We have not in the past. Ours goes into a pool that they divide equally amongst it. I guess if we wanted to give a specific one scholarship, we could probably name it after something that we have here, but ours in the past just went to the pool and divided by how many students participate in it. It's not a automatic get it. The student actually has to go a little bit out of their way and do a little bit of work to be part of it.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary,
Aye.
Jenna, aye, Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Next up, we have pavement markings. Town manager.
Yeah, this is our annual pavement marking program. Public Works Director Dvorak can add anything to it, but if you notice the areas, this will complete and supplement some of the road construction in the area so that the markings will be fresh. Calumet Avenue from Main Street to Route 30, Hart Street from Route 30 to Stack, and 213th Street from Madison to Briar Ridge entrance. Any additional questions or Jeff has anything to add? If not,
Yeah, again, just to add on to what Dave has already said, Calumet Avenue, again, we're not gonna be doing the area what's under construction right now. So again, that's gonna be done during that whole project there. So again, we're to coordinate this pavement markings be done near the end of May, so that way we're not trying to do pavement markings on top of road construction and getting more, congested over there. So it's gonna be coordinated, so when it's all done, that section will be seamless at that time, and as well as 213th and again from Madison to Briar Ridge. So again, everything will be all cohesive at that time.
Thank you. So we'll be looking for a motion to approve Traffic Control Specialist Inc., the low bidder at the price of $83,818.69.
I'll make a motion to approve the low bidder to Traffic Control Specialist, Inc. for $83,818.69.
I'll second that.
And just given what was said earlier at the meeting, I will remind the council on the record that it's not just the low bidder, it's the most responsible and responsive. That's the statutory standard.
Thank you. I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mary,
Aye.
Jenna, aye, Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Under an any and all, continuing from our staff meeting. I'm sorry, not our staff meeting, our study session. I'll be looking for a motion to direct town staff and town attorney to develop a draft ordinance of the backyard, to allow backyard chickens for review at the April study session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Only thing I like is if we could kind of look at the dogs and the cats. I know it's completely different, but whatever we allow for dogs and cats, because if not, people might want more dogs or want more cats. So, and I don't know when the last time that resolution was looked at. So just keep that in mind, since it's animals. Mary,
Aye.
Jenna, aye, Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
No. Okay, any and all? Motion to adjourn
Oh, wait, was that like, are we done?
What time?
for
I just have something I wanted to throw in
Oh, okay.
before we adjourn any and all. You know, there's not many of us here. Hi, my name's Lindsay Pass and I own and live at 234 and 240 Matson Street, previously S Curve Auto. I have an email into the council regarding vacating an alley that is contained within my property. And I just wanted to see if I could get the ball rolling on that.
Town manager, I don't know that I've seen that one.
Have you reached out?
Yeah,
Brian?
I had been working with Brian a little bit on
Adam
this.
has the stuff, it has to be sent, has to be written up so it can go to a public hearing. And a public hearing would come back to the council, so once we get that written up for the public hearing, it'll be brought to you. It has to be advertised in the paper, we have to put the sign out there, and then they would come to the meeting and. Usually when you vacate property, which we've done before, you give it to half this side homeowner and half side this homeowner. Well, they own all the property within, so all the property would go to them. It would just, it would all go to them, and their tax bill would probably change because that's vacated property that they would own now.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna pay more. But I did email the entire packet to the council. No, I
Yeah, we have
understand.
the packet, and Adam, we're working on getting something for a public hearing together.
I didn't
And
know
then
if
we'll-
the language that was sent over.
Adam will have to look at the language to see,
For the notice?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at it and we'll see if we can aim for April maybe.
Brian, whose responsibility is a public hearing? Is that the resident or is that the town?
Well, for vacation of public hearing, a lot of times what we've done in the past is we've hosted it and done it, but we bill them for all the publications. Because it's for the. it's
Their
for them.
request,
So
okay.
that's usually how we do it.
That's probably the best way to go about it. That way everything's done right.
I mean,
That's how we've done it in the past, but we can over Adam thing.
it seems like a pretty simple process. I feel like we kind of started this about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you guys need,
Previous owner first looked at.
yeah,
And it's,
So now it's up in front and center, so we'll get it. hopefully for
okay.
April.
I just wanted to make sure that it was received.
Brian, when was the last time you dealt with the resident? Have you worked with Brian
we
recently?
talked in the beginning, when the old owner, I worked with him, and then he left, sold it, and then when they got it, they inquired right away, and then there was some lull time, and then.
Yeah,
I
you
just
had
got
been working on
another-
the language.
Yeah,
I
I
think
got
everyone's
another,
been working on the language for about 2.5
We
years.
got another email that I didn't get. that you
Yeah, the
forwarded,
one that
it
came in.
To the council.
Is there any way you can come in and meet with staff during the day so we can prepare something for the council then? As far as what this process may look
I'm
like?
happy to help with anything. I work from 7 to 4 and I work in Illinois, so I'm usually back in the area around 4:30. I don't know if that time is bad or good for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much that, I mean, I can meet to get her the information, but it's just a matter of us getting a public hearing set up in the language to put in there that we're vacating. It may take, maybe Neil or someone may have to give some, a legal description.
Yeah, we're gonna need a legal
The
description.
I do have the legal
property, and we-
description in the
we
packet.
have to just look at it to make sure it meets what they believe is, out there.
The actual property.
Yes.
In lieu of a survey.
Exactly.
So the alley contained within, not my legal description that I.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we got your legal,
Okay.
whenever, it's like a title search, whatever they get illegal, they check to make sure that that's actually the property.
Right.
Normally that's done by a survey, so we'll take care of that.
There's been little pieces of this alley, like through Growens, years ago, it was taken out, the little piece where he was gonna build the barn restaurant next door, that was.
Yeah, I think
vacated.
222 Matson had
Yeah.
already been vacated and,
So
right.
this is kind of just a triangle piece of property that's.
It's
really
kind of
out
just
there,
a little history hanging on. So feel free to come sit in the alley if you want.
Which has a building.
It's yours for now. Just partial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Voice vote?
Hi.
Don't leave, we still have redevelopment to go. I'd like to call the Dyer Redevelopment Commission meeting of March 21st, 2024 to order. We've done the pledge of allegiance, we have the roll call. Is there any citizen input for redevelopment commission? Hearing none, we move on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, which include the minutes of the February 15th, 2024 redevelopment commission meeting and claims totaling $104,216.29.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jenna? Aye. Bob?
Aye.
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have old business, downtown district, John Burge and Hart Street, an update. We're so anxious to hear this.
Yes, anxious to hear that concepts are forthcoming. Frank and I've met with the arts group and he's got the input that we funneled from your board to him. He's taken some shots of what John Burge currently looks like and we'll put together some kind of rendition of that area for us. Frank, I think has talked to him as recent as Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. And I think he believes he probably needs another week or so to put something together. So we put it on the agenda just to give you an idea that it's not, there's not crickets going on. It's something that he's working on.
Everybody wants to know what the two trailers are for.
Yeah, unfortunately, it has nothing to do with any of our downtown project that housed some HVAC equipment for the hospital to easily loft onto their roof. I believe they're probably at the end of their project now.
About another week or so, and they think those trucks will be gone. It just
Okay.
had another.
Yeah, it was exciting. People saw the two
Yeah.
trucks come in and were like, what's going
What's
on?
going on?
But he did take the input that you guys had presented and seemed to be as passionate about the project as we could ask of from a vendor. And we're really excited about the conceptual drawings.
Next on the agenda is the new business annual tip report, which we have to do every year. And it is attached.
It is attached. So in your package, you have the annual TIF report that is prepared by our financial consultant Baker Tilly with the input from clerk treasurer and her staff, Frank and I. And they generate not only the report, but also the included parcel list. Kind of gives you a brief snapshot of what your TIF has done for you.
Yes. Now, do we have to approve that?
What you do is you receive it into the minutes that you have been submitted the annual report and that you're receiving it in.
Okay,
What this also does for Annette, Mary and Jenna is sometimes properties fall off the tip.
Yep.
And we have to reallocate them back in because those are tax dollars that stay here in Dyer. So this really helps with doing it like this every year.
And if you guys can receive the report into the record, accompanied with the parcel list as well.
so do we need a motion
Yes.
to
Yes.
accept the report?
Report and parcel list.
To approve it.
The report and the partial list? Do I have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to accept and approve the TIF report and parcel list.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jenna? Aye. Bob?
Aye.
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 Aye. And
If I can add
Mr.
to,
Town Manager,
Yeah.
you have an addition? Did you want to do something at the end?
I believe, is it the TIF report we were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we talked earlier that there's a lot to absorb when you guys see the annual report. There's many numbers, figures, brackets. We say TIFs and a lot of acronyms, TDDs. So Frank and I have discussed bringing in for a regular work session about TIF and TDD combined and what it means for us, what the future looks like, what the roll-offs look like, what the expenditures could look like after some of these territories will eventually roll off. I believe TDD is on the books till 2047, give or take. Our first TIF rolls off in 2026. So we've gotten some news recently that even though the TIF may roll off, TIF funds can still be used to service that area, which is it's a good rendering of that opinion. So what we're gonna do is schedule a work session in the future that is specifically only for TIF and TDD. I think it'll really enlighten us
Yes, thank
on
you.
what our options are and what our scope is for these funds and what truly redevelopment means. So exciting.
Sounds exciting. Any and all? We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Are there someone coming?
Voice vote, please.
Were you coming up? Any, oh,
I had to get my pencil.
ah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
The motion for adjournment, a second.
Yes.
Voice vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you.